Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Happy Friday Eve and welcome back to another episode of Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Najee Wilkins, along with Craig Sager. I have another gem-packed show for you guys today. Happy Draft Day. Should be a fun day to see all of the new NFL players get enshrined. Can't wait. Obviously, some great players from the state of Georgia that will be in attendance. Malachi Starks, Michael Williams, Travis Hunter, and so many more. So we'll break down those segments a little bit later and bring on Max for Max's coverage. Talk about the latest articles that he's working on. But Craig, we got a big stunner breaking that sub 10. We called it back in March. But Maurice Gleaton, obviously, that's going to be one of our major headlines. Just can you speak to, you've been following him over the course of his career, not just track, but also football, just him being able to break that great record and, you know, continue to make history.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen, Maurice Gleaton, the Langston Hughes wide receiver and UGA track commit, he ran a 9.98. Win legal, you see the tweet right there. So what's the biggest storyline been this season? It's been how many sub 11 seconds there have been. I mean, that's a huge milestone. So Maurice Gleaton's a guy that broke to the scene as a sophomore in terms of track and field. Last year, I'm pretty sure he swept the table with Langston Hughes just in terms of the sprints, the relays. He led them to a team state title. But this year, his first race of the season, he clocked that, I believe it was a 10-13 or 10-18. And that, because Langston Hughes made such a late push into the football season, that really was his first meet of the season. So when Najee and I saw that was his first time, we knew, wow, he somehow has gotten that step faster. He was a 10-2 guy last year as a junior. This is going to be a special season, and sure enough, this week he's able to break 10 seconds. I believe that's the second fastest time in the United States history for track and field, so pretty incredible. Fastest under 20 sprinter in the U.S. as of now. And this is why he's probably going to go the track route at the next level.
No, 100%. I could see him being a future Olympian. But, Craig, can you talk about just what's coming up next as far as track? Because I know we're hitting playoffs for our other sports. What's next? I know there's been a lot of county championships, but what's kind of the next big meet? Is it sectionals? What's next?
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting. The Fulton County Championships were 2 weeks ago, and this is when Langston Hughes went head-to-head with Westlake, who in my opinion is the best team in 6A, Hughes in 5A. Westlake got the best of them. So that was 2 weeks ago. Now we're going to have the region championships. Right at the start of May, we will have the sectionals. That's where there's 8 total regions in each classification. A sectional houses 4 regions at a time, and then you qualify. Usually there's top 8 from each sectional, and then 16 make it to state, sometimes just depending on the event. And then state will be, I believe it's May 15th. So we don't have much time. I mean, it's almost May right now, but This is the busier part of the season. I just feel like there's so many different meets that Langston Hughes has participated in. I feel like, I don't think Maurice Gleaton is necessarily resting, but he's so elite, you have to save him at this point for the state meet. Yeah, he can go out there and try to improve his time, but at this point, to me, there's not many meets left. Just let him focus on state.
100%, man. Shout out to Maurice Gleaton, always making noise and obviously rising into a star in his own right on the track and field. All right, let's go to our headlines. Let's hit headline 1. I'll just get us started.
Wait, Najee, real quick. I mean, how many NFL players are running a sub 10?
No, it's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the fastest guys in the entire country.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, you look at collegiate or you look at professional, no, it's insane.
To think of the Tyreek Hills and all these guys that are posting these ridiculous times, I mean, he's that fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. I mean,
he could suit up to pretty much any NFL team and cook them right now.
Yeah, 100%. That's how quick he is, man. Hopefully, we'll see him on the football field again, but till then, we'll obviously continue to follow him. All right, guys, let's go to headline 1. Last year, they shut out Johns Creek this past week. 4 different players scored. The defense recorded its 3rd straight shutout, and the last year girls soccer team rolled past Johns Creek 5-0 on Tuesday in opening round of the 5A state playoffs. The Trojans got 2 more goals on set pieces and notched a back-breaking score early in the second half to seize momentum. Coach Robbie Galvin said his team, which moved on to play Chamblee next Tuesday, has seemed to be finding its rhythm since returning from spring break last week, winning those 3 matches by a combined 14-0.
Yeah, very impressive. And this is an interesting headline. We're going to stick with girls soccer right here for headline 2. Tucker and Luganzo lead Hillgrove past Archer. This was a first-round matchup. Hillgroves scored early and often as Macy Tucker and Chichi Luganzo each had hat tricks in the Hawks' 9-0 win over Archer in the first round of the state playoffs. Hillgrove, who's now 14-2, scored 4 goals in the first 10 minutes of the match and led 6-0 by halftime. This is what their coach Shannon Center had to say. I was happy with the first half. In the second half, we got off the page a little bit. We got a little antsy out there. I think we'll rally and get back on the same page before the second round, and boy, will they need to do it. Hillgrove will travel to face West Forsyth in the second round. This will be next Tuesday. Coach Center said West Forsyth is going to be a tall challenge. They're incredibly talented. They're very deep. Plus, we travel to play at their place, and that's hard to do. You've got to be ready to play anybody, though. So a 9-0 victory for Hillgrove, scoring early and often. That seems to be the ingredient of success. But, man, this West Forsyth team, they don't give up many goals. So it's a really interesting second-round matchup.
Yeah, we were talking about it, obviously, yesterday in our soccer breakdown with Hayden Gilbert. But I think it will be interesting to see, will this be a low-scoring or will this be a high-scoring contest? Hayden obviously pointed out yesterday that if Hillgrove want a chance, they have to make it high-scoring. But to your point, Craig, they have not given up a lot of goals. I think up into the playoffs, they only given up 11 total goals this past season.
Yeah, so I think this is a situation where Hillgrove knows they can play aggressive. You heard the word there, antsy. You don't want to over-anticipate things, but I feel like this is a game, even though it's the second round, you know the playoffs could go further, you have to leave it all on the pitch. They've got to give a full-out effort and try to win with that. Just try to wear out West Forsyth and outcompete them because they're so deep and that defense is just so experienced, and they've been the best team for a reason. But if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
There you have it, Craig. It's going to be exciting to watch. All right, you got our next headline.
All right, Marietta's defense smothers Lowndes. Kevin Rivera and Gabriel McHale each scored 2 goals to lead Marietta's boys soccer to a 7-1 win over Lowndes. It's also in the first round of the playoffs. The win sent Marietta to 14-3 on the season and into the second round, where they faced the winner of the Discovery and Carrollton match. This will be on April 30th. Marietta started fast as Rivera scored the first goal only 6 minutes into the match on an assist from Gabriel Sampaio. This is what their head coach, Robert Holman, said of Kevin Rivera. He is a highly skilled and very technical player. He has scored over 30 goals this season.
There you have it. All right, next headline. Wesleyan hires a new head volleyball coach, Craig, and Ken Connor. I know you follow volleyball very closely. The school recently promoted their assistant Ken Connor, the Wolves head volleyball coach, in his first 6 seasons of competition to lead the program after retirement of longtime head coach Ted Russell. Russell tallied 790 career wins and led Wesleyan to 6 state championships and 11 region titles. Connor joined the Wesleyan staff in 1997 as an English and Bible teacher at a high school level and was a grade chair for 5 seasons. He joins the college advising office as an assistant director of college advising, as a role he's held for 6 years before being promoted to his current job as director of college advising in 2010. Other news there, Connor returns to volleyball coach staff in 2005. It was one of Russell's varsity assistants in addition to serving as junior high school varsity coach. Connor, who has also coached club volleyball at A5, one of the top programs in the country, and his wife Betty Ann have 4 children, have graduated from Wesleyan, Sheldon, Natalie, Ben, and Tatum. The Savannah native and Calvary Day grad earned an English degree with a minor in history as well as a master's degree in philosophy from Georgia State.
Yep, and I like this hire. He's obviously familiar with Wesleyan, but when you look at volleyball, to win a state title, it just takes a team that comes together. It is truly a team sport out there, and so I feel like the consistency he brings to the program, what they already have built, that's going to be key. They're obviously very competitive last year, but it just takes a special group of girls that's going to come together and just have that focus and play well together. You need every single piece. You need the liberos, the defense, the setters, the defense of the net, and he understands that. And
then do they return a lot of their team from last year, Craig, or are there a lot of people graduate?
Wesleyan's got a pretty favorable situation in the private, but I mean, it's just so tough. And I feel like volleyball more than some of the other sports, those Savannah schools, obviously he came from Calvary Day, they're as good as anyone. So there is a lot of statewide competition that the private schools have to do with the Augusta private schools in Savannah, but Wesleyan certainly not only one of the best in Gwinnett and the metro area, but the state.
There you have it. All right, let's go to headline 5. Appling County forfeits their 10-win season that they had in 2004. They forfeit all 10 games, dropping from 10-4 to 0-14. The South Georgia Power made the semifinals last year and won a region title, which will now be awarded to Pierce County. The Bears gained their 9th region title and 2nd in a row. The Powers, on the other hand, now have a stand on what was a strong run, reaching at least the quarterfinals in 4 of the past 5 seasons. The GHSA stated that the team played last season with an ineligible player, but had not disclosed the specific violation that led to the forfeitures. The two most likely causes are either academic ineligibility or failure to make a bona fide move, meaning the player did not complete the requirements to establish residency and transfer without losing a year of eligibility. Appleton County has exhausted its appeals and accepted the GHSA's ruling. Craig, what is your reaction to that?
Yeah, so these are interesting. Sometimes they're self-reported, and usually sometimes that comes during the season. Like if you know there's an issue and it's getting to the GHSA, you want to self-report early. I think we saw that. Who was the team last year? It was. Why can't I think of this?
Think of Stockbridge, maybe?
No, there's a team. It
They
wasn't
had to forfeit theirs.
What team? Marion County? No. Mary Persons, thank you. I knew it started with an M. So, yeah, they had a situation where it happened during the season. This is interesting because they forfeit all last season, and now they're going to be put on notice. They've got to really stick by the rules. You don't want to have those compounding penalties.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, tough for Appleton County to go through. We'll see how they continue to recover, especially after winning the region championship. Now, Pierce County has their 2nd consecutive. So it'll be an interesting story to continue to watch and to follow. But, guys, it's going to conclude this segment here. Coming up after the break, we'll get into some draft coverage. And me and Craig are going to pick our top 10 from this 2026 class of who and how we would draft. Don't miss it. It's coming right back here on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So, guys, we're excited for this segment. It's going to be our top 10 picks. We're going to go by them. Obviously, I'll get started. Max is going to give us his thoughts, kind of be our moderator here, and then me and Craig are going to just break down why we have our top 10. So 2 segments for this. We'll go through our top 5 first and then finish with our last 5 next. All right, Max, I'm throwing it to you. You are going to kind of host this segment, and me and Craig will kind of be the analysts here. So I'm throwing it to you, Max.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a switch of pace for us. I mean, you guys are usually asking me the questions, but no, this will be fun. This will be good.
Sir.
So let's start with the first pick. Let's start. Both you guys have at the top of your list. You have Tyler Atkinson. We know what he brings to the table, but from you guys' perspective, why would he be your first overall pick?
Okay, so I'll start. I think he's the most talented defensive player I've ever seen in the state of Georgia. And then at the next level, what is interesting to me, he's 6'2", 210 pounds. This is a guy that, when he was a freshman at Grayson, talked to some of their coaches. When Coach Bryant went out there, some of the other assistants said, hey, who do you like on this Grayson team that's returning? They had some successful runs, win a state title. They're talking about how strong Tyler Atkinson is. So he's not the biggest guy that's going to be able to play up on the defensive line, but he's so fast, and he has this like outside linebacker ability, but then he's playing on the defensive line. He has all the moves to get back to the quarterback. You never see him make a bad first step, a bad read. He gets to the ball. He understands it. He makes his teammates better. I just feel like he has this ability defensively to be, honestly, like a trailblazer at his position. Just with his frame and his skill set, I feel like it's very different. He just brings a new level of speed to that position.
I think for me, Max, just his versatility, kind of what obviously Craig said a little bit about him. He's special. And when you have multiple coaches say the same thing, I remember I just started here with Score Atlanta, and I was talking to Coach Adam Carter for the first time before obviously he made the move down to Lowndes, and he was just raving about him as a true freshman starting. And then you get the same result when you talk to Coach Centavious Bryant years later. So when you are synonymous with that all across, just different coaches and still be able to bring that level, I think that speaks to just how great he is. And then go look at the state championship game, right? Against obviously a really good team in Carrollton. Look what he did. Look how he performed. And look at the impact he had over double-digit tackles, tackles for loss, forced fumbles. Like, he's made for the big stage, and he performs at a high level. And I'll give you guys somebody he reminds me of that's going into this NFL draft. Shalon Walker of Georgia. He can do the same stuff. Rush the passer, play inside backer, communicate, cover. Tyler is the full, complete package, and that's why he would be my number one overall pick, because he's made for the big stage, and his versatility allows him to be one of the probably best players to come through the state.
I think there's no doubt that he brings that winning pedigree coming off that state championship a year ago. And I think that when you're looking for a player that can really change your defense, I mean, it has to start there as well.
100%.
But let's continue. Let's keep going. We'll stick with the guys that you both have in your draft. Let's go next with Deuce Geralds. Najee, you want to start there?
I have Deuce Geralds as my number 4. I really like him because I think he gives you a guy in the interior. As you guys can see here, he's my number 4 pick. He has a lot of upside. I like his ability to not only generate pass rush in the interior, but he also can stuff the run. And then his versatility. Right now, he's playing a little bit of running back, for Collins Hill in the red zone, in short yardage situations. So his ability just to be low level to the ground. He still has great size at 6'1", 6'2", but his ability just to take up airspace and be able to shut down a defense. It's what makes Collins Hill so great. It's him, it's Contrell Webb, it's the guys on their back end, but Deuce Geralds has the potential to also make it to that NFL level as well.
I completely agree. The defensive guys I picked, I feel like these are guys that can win you the game. Not often do you see a full 48 minutes of football and say, wow, they would not have won that game without these key plays. Deuce Geralds is that guy. He did it last year in all the big moments for Collins Hill, coming up with the big stops, forcing the turnovers. And what you said, his pad level, how low he plays the ground, he uses his size so well. He's disruptive. I feel like he's a guy that you can't block him for long. He gets off the blocks, he sheds them, and he's another guy that will make everyone around him better.
Yeah, I completely agree. But let's keep going. Amari Latimer at Sandy Creek. He's on both your boards. I believe, Craig, he is your 6th pick, and then Najee, he's your 5th. What makes him just a game-changing running back, and how can he change a team's backfield?
I mean, he's different because he gives you power and burst all in one. You see guys of his size not really able to run away from defenders, but he can. Just his ability, his contact balance, his ability to bounce off tacklers, his ability to make big plays out of nothing, his ability to catch outside of the backfield. Same kind of thing. His versatility, I think, is what makes him special. And it's going to be interesting to see what he does with his top 6. His big brother, Gamir Latimer, is at Wisconsin. Well, he joined Big Bro, obviously, and play with him. But he reminds me of that next big back that's going to come through either the Big Ten or SEC. When I look at Texas, can he be similar to what Bijan was able to accomplish there, right? Wisconsin, think of Melvin Gordon. Like, he reminds me of that type of stature and his ability to play at the next level. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does. But he would be a guy I know you don't usually draft running back that early, but he's one of the rare few that I would.
I agree with that. And you're talking about his size. That's what's really interesting about him. We saw him just step in there as a freshman, make so many clutch plays, but with that 5'11", he's up at 210, 215 right now. He can score in the red zone. He can also give you the big yardage plays. And when you said the contact balance, it really is incredible how difficult it is to bring him down. He can bounce off tackles, find the outside, run, have that patient running, but also put his head down and get in the end zone when he needs to. I feel like he's that guy that can be a finisher in the red zone, who can catch out of the backfield, and also make guys miss.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Najee, let's continue. Let's break down the rest of your top 10. So we'll go with Cortez Redding second from Jonesboro, Aaron Gregory third from Douglas County, Deuce Gerald's at 4, Amari Latimer at 5.
We stay there.
Okay.
Yeah, we stay there, and then we'll go to my top 10. But I'll go number 2, probably a surprise player. I'm glad to see he's actually on your list too, Craig, at number 7. So shout out to you for putting Cortez on there. But Cortez, I've seen him so many times in person, and I think he's special. He's just cut from a different cloth. He wants to be great. He puts in the time and the effort. And he's the type of DB that can not only take away one side of the field and just go as a safety end, and it reminds me a little bit of a Sean Taylor a little bit. Just his ability to go on one side of the field, or you can even say Ed Reed, and be able to flip the field and make a play on the ball. When you can have that as a safety, it makes you special. And he also likes to lay the lumber and make a hit. When coming downhill, I've seen him against Stars Mill. Big time, obviously, quarterback and Logan Inagwa, who was very physical. And then the running game, they ran that triple option the whole game. And every time, every play darn near, Cortez Redding is living in the backfield. So I think he's a special talent at 2. And he's a guy I think could change my defense day 1.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that, like at the safety spot, if Jonesboro's playing a team that likes to run the ball, he's not going to get fooled with the double pass, those moves. He's going to be able to come down and make that hit. He's also going to be that backline defense, and he's going to be able to make the play. So if you are building a defense, you want that leader in the secondary that can physically match up, come down, make the big hits. He proved it last year. I think his stock's only rising. Last year was a huge year for him, finally getting that recognition for what he's doing at Jonesboro. A great season last year. I feel like this is his opportunity where his film is going to absolutely speak for itself, and he might continue to rise up into maybe the top 20 in this class in terms of overall prospects.
100%. And then obviously next, I know you asked about Max Aaron Gregory. So for me, everyone's enamored with his deep playability, obviously his deep threat with the ability to, either take a slant to the house or just run past defenders. But I think what's underrated about Aaron Gregory is his route running. I mean, it's on full display when we look at Friday Night Lights this past week at Douglas County with Coach Alexander and what he puts together. He is separating from defenders at the top of the route within a few seconds. If you could be that elite of a route runner with his yak ability and his ability to high point the football and elite ball tracking ability, I think he could probably be the top receiver of this class. He's not rated that way, but when it's said and done, don't be surprised if you see him go early. I got him at number 3.
Yeah, I wanted to put him on. He certainly is a guy that I would love to have on my team. I've compared him to AJ Green before. I want to see a team, though, I want to see him this year be that number 1 receiver. I felt last year they could have even maybe thrown the ball to him a little more. They were so deep and well-balanced offensively. He's had a lot of different quarterbacks over the years, but there's no doubt his deep ball ability is just understood just how tall he is, his ability to go up. But he is a guy that can catch the slants, go over the middle, and have that quick slash ability.
Yeah, you're right, Craig. I mean, it's tough because, like you said, they're so well balanced. And Douglas County wants to be physical. They want to run the football with Marcus Lindley and crew. And a lot of people say, why don't you throw the ball more? So I think it's interesting. You got him, Devin Carter. But like you said, let's see him get to that 1,000-yard-plus season and 10-plus touchdowns because he's special. It's just, will DC throw the ball more this year with Mike Johnson at quarterback?
Yeah, and there were a couple games that we got to watch in person. I thought the Cedar Grove game week 1, he didn't really get a lot of balls thrown to him. They had a couple thrown back or called back for penalties, but I feel like this year he might have that game where he goes off like some of the receivers we've seen last year where it's a 200-yard game. If he has one of those, that will convince me fully this is a guy that's going to be able to make it to the top.
All right, there you have it, guys. We will be back for part 2 of our draft picks for the 2026 class. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So I'm going to toss it back to Max. We got a little bit of controversy here, so I know we're going to hear it in the comments. I know we're going to hear it on social media. But Max, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, sure. Craig, let's start with you at number 2. We have Alabama commit 5-star cornerback out of Sprayberry, Jordan Edmonds. What do you think he really brings to the back end of someone's defense?
Yeah, well, I guess the question is how valuable is that cornerback position right now? There's obviously a lot of guys that can get the job done. To me, his ability in these one-on-one situations, which is not easy to do, stick on a receiver for a long time. We've seen some of the Sprayberry's games. He doesn't get fooled when the play breaks around. He stays on the receiver, and then that's when he can really make something happen. He has these great instincts to know where the receiver's going, get his head around, and make those big turnovers. I feel like his ability in the turnover department, in a talented Sprayberry secondary, that's what I like about him. Just as a true cornerback, and he's got tremendous size also. He's going to be able to match up. He's got that NFL frame already.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and throw out a disclaimer here. This has nothing to do with the talent of Jordan Edmonds. He's a 5-star for a reason. He's an elite player, right? Great person off the field. Has nothing to do with him. This is just my personal preference. Say it again, Max. Y'all can hear me. Personal preference, okay? So I like Jordan Edmonds a lot. But for me, it's like, cornerback, what's the value of the position? So if I'm a GM, right, I feel like I can get corner in the 2nd round, 3rd round, and still play at a high level, right? Tell me the top cornerback that's going to be taken this year, y'all. Travis Hunter, correct? Mm-hmm. Right? Generational talent. Not saying that Jordan Edmonds isn't a generational talent, but rarely do you see a cornerback taken that high, right? So for me, I'd rather beef up my offensive line that high or another key position. I could take corner and develop them 2nd, 3rd round potentially. And sometimes corners don't always pan out taking them that high potentially. So that is the only reason why, for me, I wouldn't take them that high. That's true.
We have, in my opinion, the best cornerback maybe in the country playing in Georgia. Just this year, I feel like he can be reliable, he can get it done. It's just the size what stands out to me. That is, 6'2.5", 6'3". That's going to give him a leg up. He's got the speed, and I feel like if he can get that physicality, he'll be ready to go.
Yeah. Now, Craig, sticking with your top 10, Najee had Aaron Gregory as his top wide receiver off the board. On yours, we have Brady Marchese from Cartersville. What do you think really stands out about him as one of the top wide receivers in the state?
Well, to me, it's all about the big playability. Last year, he had, I think, 44 catches and averaged about 26 yards per catch. He might not be the fastest guy, but there's something about his ability to make the big plays downfield. He's got great body control. Honestly, look, he reminds me of like a dancer or like a ballerina when he jumps up in the air. He's got so much body control. He can land down on his feet and extend plays. He's worked extremely hard. He's getting much faster. He's also gotten way more physical, and I feel like he's blowing up. But that big playability, it's really invaluable to be able to stretch the defense. And he's also a guy that can, once he gets you pushing downfield, we might see him more this year, be able to get on those timing routes with Nate Russell and really have a big season.
Najee, thoughts on Brady Marchese?
Great player, 100%. Definitely big playability. It's hard to replicate that. Just not my top 10 player. For me, I think he could be potentially special at Georgia. Fill a role of like kind of a Ladd McConkey, this big play guy for them potentially in the future. But for me, I just think Aaron Gregory fits the all-in-one, encompasses everything: the speed, the agility, the route running, the catching, the deep plays. I feel like you can't get a more complete receiver than Gregory in this class.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, Craig, sticking with yours, I mean, there's one quarterback on both of y'all's list combined, and that would be Brody McWhorter out of Cass. You got to have a quarterback in there somewhere. So, Craig, what do you think really stands out about him?
What I love most about Brody McWhorter is what I saw from him 2 seasons ago. It is his ability to lead his team in a 2-minute situation. That, to me, is the most important benchmark for a quarterback. And we saw it. We saw it in even Georgia Elite Classic, coming down, having the potential go-ahead drive until I added more time on the clock. But what he did at Cass was very impressive. I feel like he's just a 4-quarter quarterback, and then once he gets heated up, once he gets the teammates involved, we see that touch he has on the ball. He can deliver it very well. He is a well-known quarterback prospect already, but you look at last year, he missed pretty much the entire season. I feel like if we had that year, he'd be even more high valued. This is a big year for him. I just think his mobility, his ability to lead the team on the drive, the decision making, and then the ability to make that clutch throw. I feel like he's a very tough quarterback. He can sit in there and buy himself as much time as possible, and he also just makes very good decisions.
Yeah, and Najee, I'm going to go back to your list, actually. One of the most intriguing players, I would say, in this class is Caden Prothro from Bowden. Just his pass-catching ability at his size, for sure. His versatility is off the charts. What do you think he would bring to an NFL team?
I mean, he brings a lot, in my humble opinion. It'd be interesting to see if he plays more wide receiver at the next level with his size and his speed and his ability to break tackles and things like that. But he can also block, too. I think that's another underrated part of his game. So he just reminds me of those pass-catching tight ends we've seen over the years, right? Obviously, like the Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, like those guys, you get the ball to in space, they can make big plays, or even the Travis Kelce's of the world as well. So I think he projects as a long-time veteran player, potentially in the NFL, 10-year vet. The guy I would want on my team, could do a lot of different things well, and just a safety blanket for quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think he's the best tight end we have in the state, no doubt. I left tight ends off my list, and I guess I wasn't interested in drafting them this year, but certainly incredible, just mismatch and beast of a player.
Sure.
Yeah, and then Najee, sticking with your list, Xavier Griffin down at 9. What do you think makes him special as well, and what do you think he adds to that Gainesville defense that can really translate to the next level?
So just a Swiss Army knife, in my humble opinion, when we look at Xavier Griffin. I know some would be like, why did you rate him so low? I like his ability. My only concern is just I know this year he battled with a little bit with injuries. I think he could do a little bit of different things well. He can contain the edge. He can rush at the weak side linebacker as well. He does a lot of things well. It's definitely a can't-miss prospect. And I just go top 10 because I feel like he will be able to make a difference day one, potentially for an NFL organization if he keeps up with the pace that he's at. I just have other needs for a team. Sometimes edge, you have to be a real big difference maker in generational talent.
Yeah, and for edge, I went with the 2-time basketball state champion, 1-time football state champion, Kamari Brooks out of North Oconee. Feel like with him, we still haven't seen him really reach his full potential as a prospect. Last year was sort of a breakout year for him. Obviously, North Oconee won for the first time, but his performance in the playoffs showed me this guy just has this God-given innate athleticism that once he really learns the position, he did a great job understanding the assignment against Marist in the state championships. I just feel like he dominated, and this is a big year for him to continue building. I think he's going to do great at the college level. We'll see if he makes it to the pros.
For sure. All right, guys, coming up after the break, we'll get into Max's coverage, but we're going to conclude our top 10, right? We're going to talk about the last few picks that we have at the end of the first, and then we'll get into Max and everything he's working on. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Peachtree Sports Network.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So we're going to conclude this segment, just starting with obviously some of our last final picks for that top 10.
Yeah, sure. Craig, let's start with you, with a guy that we know very well, a Georgia Elite Classic alum and possible MVP, I believe. Craig Danger is a guy who's been blowing up lately out of Cambridge. What do you think makes him special out of a very talented class and receiving court class?
So I think Craig Dandridge has effortless speed, and when you see him run routes, yeah, he can separate, but once he catches the ball, he hits this second gear, and he's just outrunning the defense, turning the catches into big plays, 90-yard scores, and doesn't even look like he's running that fast. So when you have this natural speed as a wide receiver, he's going to be able to disguise his routes very well. You aren't going to be able to tell if he's going to try to go over the top. He can get in and out of his breaks very quickly, check it down, come back to the football, and then catch it, get upfield immediately. He had such a big season last year, and if you look at Cambridge, he got hurt, I think, for a couple games late in the season. That was when they lost, I think, to Kel late, and also the BT game was double overtime. Once he was back in that lineup, Cambridge was a completely different team. They made it all the way to the quarterfinals this year before they ran into Marist, a team that was able to control the clock. But to me, he just did such a good job of fearlessly going up the seam, going up the middle of the field, getting separation, reading the safety as well. I just feel like he really understands the assignment.
And then Najee, going back to you, with one of the most versatile guys, I believe, in the state, and Hayes Kent, what do you think he can bring both as a tight end and an offensive lineman?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this guy is, for his size, to be able to do what he does is incredible. I mean, 934 yards receiving this year. I think he had close to 10 touchdowns. Also plays offensive line for them. And the answer changes depending on who you talk to on the collegiate level. Now, most people are going to say he's an offensive lineman, but, I mean, you look at Georgia Tech, he just set an official visit there. He tagged Nathan Brock, the Georgia Tech tight ends coach, in the post. So, he played tight end for the Yellow Jackets, but then Miami's recruiting him as an offensive lineman, right? He has other, big picks in there, too. So he's just interesting to see because he's kind of a tweener. I mean, with his size, you definitely think being 6'5", 6'6", 300 pounds, okay, definitely offensive lineman. But his versatility is what makes him interesting to see what he plays definitely at the next level. And I think he's going to be special. And for me, offensive line is important, right? When I think about protecting my franchise, which is likely going to be my quarterback, I need somebody with some big beef, just 6'6", 300, that can protect and be an anchor on that offensive line. So for him, for sure. And the next one's an underrated pick in Tyreek Jemison, a guy that's kind of blown up here in recruiting. Shout out to him, Paul, kind of over 40-plus offers this past year. Got some big-time teams in there that want him, SEC schools, ACC schools, Big 10, Big 12. He's a guy that's underrated, but I think he has probably one of the higher ceilings of this draft class potentially, which is his ability to work. He blew up after the Georgia Elite Classic as well. And I just like his hands, his size, how he moves, and just he's a mauler. He just gets guys out of there and opens up these big, gigantic holes when you watch his film.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to rise up to the top offensive line prospect in the state this year. That is kind of an opening. Real quick, my last guy, Cameron Cody from Benedictine. I feel like Benedictine has some of the best defensive line play in the state consistently. He'll be a big factor this year. He's going to Clemson. I think he's a guy that could have that Grady Jarrett type impact, just low, disruptive in the interior of that defensive line.
All right, there you have it, guys. All right, so we're going to keep it rolling. That's going to conclude, obviously, our top 10 picks. But Max has been working on some stories. A big one, a Final Four for a standout player, Braden Rouse of the Kell Longhorns, another guy that's kind of blown up here. What he was able to do, over 300-plus yards receiving this past year offensively, and was a standout defensively as well, Max. But his Final Four included Michigan, Alabama, Texas, and Tennessee, obviously, as his top four. But what more can you say, Max?
Yeah, I mean, just one of the most versatile players I would say we have in the state as well, Braden Rouse out of Kell. Locked in his Final Four to Alabama, Texas, Michigan, and Tennessee, with visits booked for all four of them as well. Just one of the best, I would say one of the best players on that Kell team coming into this year.
Yeah, for sure. And then what do you think about Kell this year? Pretty challenging region, just a couple teams. You got Blessed Trinity in there, obviously Cambridge. How important is this year for, Coach May, the Longhorns, just how close they've been to being that region championship team, but with all the talent they have.
I believe the past 2 seasons before this season, when they went 7-5, they had 9-win seasons overall. But like you said, with in a region with Cambridge and with Blessed Trinity as well, just tough teams. With Tyler Jones over there at Cambridge really making his way, and with Ed Dudley at Blessed Trinity, you know they're going to have good teams. So Kel's just going to have to bring it every single Friday night. Yeah, it's time for them to take this step forward. I think they got the right coach at the helm, and Coach Bobby May. They're going to have the right quarterback in Caleb Narkeezy. They got the running back in Terrence Mooney Gibson, who's still, to me, very vastly underrated, but they should be able to take that step forward. You look at Braden Rouse, who was an underrated guy nobody really talked about last year, blew up completely. And then you look at, obviously, Joel Comby, who just locked in a South Carolina official visit for June 6th through the 8th. And then you obviously look at Jalen Williams, who's committed to Arizona State. Again, probably one of those better back ends we'll see in the state. And you got a guy right there in that middle of that defense that can rush and also stop the run. I mean, this year, to me, they should be at least get close to 10 wins. Now, I do know 4A is a load. When you look at Cartersville, BT, all the elite teams in Fort Creekside, but Kel should be able to take a step forward this year. Sure. I agree. And then, I mean, it might be more common in the time you see more players playing on both sides of the ball these days, but how many players do you think in Georgia had over 100 tackles and 25 receptions on the offensive end? I mean, that's not a lot. It's not a lot.
It's really unheard of.
It's really unheard of. I mean, just being able to be that versatile is so much for Kel.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And where do you think he plays at the next level?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I've heard he's a big fan of Alabama right now. When he had an article on 3, and they were talking to him about like what Alabama kind of sees him as, and they said they saw him as kind of a Jahad Campbell, and just being able to go sideline to sideline, play everywhere, all across their defense.
I think in terms of best fit, I mean, you probably could say Bama because they're going to let him be great and play pretty much all over. Texas is a team to watch, too, because their versatility. Go look at Anthony Hill Jr.
For sure.
Right? And you look at what they do and they develop. Those will probably be some good fits. Tennessee's another really good program as well. But will they allow him to be versatile and play kind of all over as Bama and Texas probably will? That would be a question to kind of find out and see the answer to.
And then, Max, just final thoughts on the draft tonight.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. A lot of guys from Georgia should be making their name into the NFL. We'll see. I think Travis is locked in to go at 2. I think it'll be interesting to see where Malachi Starks end up, guys like Michael Williams as well. But, yeah, I'm excited to see what it all go down later tonight.
Yeah, let's pull up that graphic again. Most draft picks by state. Georgia is in 3. You've been watching football for a long time, Craig. Obviously, Texas at the top at 154, Florida 141, and Georgia 3. Can you give kind of a historical context, Craig, around just why Georgia the last 5 years continues just to churn out this top talent that NFL GMs, teams just want?
Yeah, well, the last 5 years have been exceptional. The last 10 years also. We talked to Todd Holcomb, who's been tracking this. Georgia's always done well, but I think the difference in the last 5 years, I almost wish there was like a quality metric to add to that on how many are going in the first and second round, because Georgia, the state of Georgia is putting a lot of guys in there, but you look at this year, guys like Travis Hunter, he'll go top 2, top 1. It seems like every year Georgia not only is getting 20 to 30 guys, but also loading the top of the first round picks, and then the success that these players from Georgia have had once they go on to college and NFL, that's what gets coaches wanting to come back.
True. And then how about this graphic here? States with the most #1 NFL draft picks since 2000. Texas leads with 6, California 4, Georgia with 3. I definitely know one of them in Trevor Lawrence. But just how about Georgia producing top #1 overall picks?
Yes. Derek Brown, was he another one?
I think he might have been.
I think he went #1. Gosh, why can't I remember the other #1? Since
Travon Walker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and what's interesting, it's not just quarterbacks that Georgia's producing in the early rounds. A lot of defensive lineman talent, a lot of guys that have played at Georgia afterwards. But I feel like this year, the trend 2 years ago was a lot of the guys weren't 4 and 5 stars. These guys, to me, were like no-brainers when they were playing. Guys like Malachi Starks and Travis Hunter. Everyone watching them knew that one day we'd be able to watch them go in the first round.
Yeah, no, I just think for the time that I've been here and watched Georgia high school football, you can just see it every Friday night, that iron sharpens iron, and that these players are going to continue to get better just because the competition is so high, whether it's in 6A all the way down to the private schools. I mean, it's just constant competition.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the elevation of just, the state as well. I think it isn't talked about enough, but when you look at other states, they don't always broadcast and promote their players. I feel like Georgia is doing that constantly. When you look at the middle school realm with Born and Compete and how much they promote the players and let you know who's the upcoming next for high school or who could be stars early and often. And then you obviously look at what we do with Peachtree Sports Network and televising games, having a Georgia Elite Classic, having the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic, as well. And then obviously GPB with them scheduling games every Friday night in addition to us. I think it's just perfect time, as you guys always say, just to put yourself on the platform and then you perform against one of these top-notch teams and you're on TV and with all this the circulation and people that are being able to be reached, I think it only does favors for you and helps you out in the end.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, for sure. And then guys like Todd Holcomb do such a great job covering the state, and Rusty Manziel, all the recruiters that, as you said, have been highlighting these players and really getting the word out there. And obviously credit to the high school coaches in Georgia, too, that have gone to colleges and really vouched for their players to get them that opportunity. And then once at college, they've been able to live up to it.
100%. All right, guys, we're going to conclude this segment. Coming up after the break, we will get into Max's bold prediction for the NFL Draft. Don't miss it. Hear what Max has to say coming up. All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So to wrap up the show, we're going to talk a little bit more about the draft, some of the players that will be drafted, and who we think can make impact. But Max has a bold prediction. So let's go ahead and hear from Max himself.
I mean, in every NFL draft, I feel like there's always something that's out of the ordinary, unexpected, that we just don't see coming. We can be looking at mock drafts for days, weeks, months coming up to it.
True.
And then as soon as 8 o'clock hits, we have no idea what's going to happen. Besides probably the first 2 picks tonight, I would say once the third pick starts with the Giants, I think stuff's going to get crazy. And I think possibly I could see them not being too sure about who they're going to draft, and either they're going to trade down or I think they get Jackson Dart, the 3rd overall pick. I don't know why. I just have a feeling.
I don't jump at some of the rumors as much as I used to. I think we saw it with C.J. Stroud a couple years ago.
My
They
gosh.
came out and they tried to say, this is a red flag. He didn't take the Wonderlic test. And I feel like, what if you know that you want to draft someone at a certain spot? You want to kind of get those leaks out and get other teams thinking, you're kind of like messing with their plans. Like, oh, wait a minute. I thought he might go here. Now all these headlines are saying no one's going to take him until the second round. I feel like a lot of that noise is deliberate.
I agree with you, obviously, on that, Craig. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. I mean, he fits what the Giants will want to do. They've reached early before. Obviously, go back to Daniel Jones. And obviously a few years ago and reaching for him at that high, number 8. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I get it at the same time. You want to get your quarterback of the future. The cool part is it's a pretty deep quarterback class in terms of what you can get the later rounds that you could develop and be your starter one day as well. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. But what the Giants should do is get an impact player early. I don't know if Dart will make that big of an impact, especially you've got Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston already there. But that would not surprise me if that happened, Max.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would say Abdul Carter is probably the pick there if Travis goes second to the Browns. But, I mean, if you look what Dart brings to the table with that experience that he's had at both USC and Ole Miss, and he's been able to kind of lead a high-potent offense at Ole Miss throughout the past 2 years, it wouldn't surprise me to see him go third.
I do have something I want to run by you before we get into more details. There's been some rumors circulating, Max, that Cleveland could use that number 33 overall pick. Probably go get Travis, but there's likelihood they try to get Shador as well and potentially try to trade back up with that 32nd or 33rd overall pick. What's your thoughts about potentially linking those two together in the NFL?
I mean, I could see it happen. Whether it happens, whether they try to trade another top 10 pick to try to get back in that top 10 to get Shador, or it happens later if he falls, I could see them definitely doing it just to match them up again with that connection that they've already had in college. And then you kind of see it more and more in the NFL these days with Tua and Jalen Waddle, with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I mean, these guys, they love that chemistry, and why not keep it going in the NFL?
True.
And then, where are you going to be watching the draft, Max?
Be at home. I think we're making burgers tonight, grilling out. Should be a fun time. Yeah.
All right.
Not
Burgers,
too bad.
Grill. Okay. Well, there we go. Also, Max, too, I know there was, want to talk just a little bit about more of obviously the players that's in here. So just out of all the ones we talked about, we're going to throw Travis out of there. But who is the next guy you think could be a big impact in this draft for an NFL team? Like from Georgia.
Personally, I think the most surefire all-pro in this draft is Malachi Starks out of Georgia. I just don't know where exactly he's going to end up. I just think what he brings to the back end of a defense, I think he can change that. And I think whether it's the Falcons that get him at 15 or whether the Ravens get him late in the first round or maybe another bold prediction, I could see the Eagles kind of trade up to get him. Yeah, I know.
Oh my
just
Philly Dogs.
Keep up
Philly
with
Dogs.
Exactly. Just keep going right there. But I could see that happen. He could change that defense. They lost a couple safeties in free agency as well. So yeah, I could definitely see him with that hype kind of surrounding him as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think of a team that would pass on him if he's still available at even after the first 10 picks. He's just so good. He's so fast. His ability to cover, hit. He's the most NFL-ready safety I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I want my Bengals to take him, So, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. If we got either Malachi Starks or Xavier Watts, I would be just fine with that. I just want somebody that can make a difference. And to your point, he's going to be that player. You look all-pro. Some mocks have him obviously to the Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Bucks, even Philly or Baltimore. I hope he doesn't go to Baltimore. But nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see as well. But, Max, what else did you want to hit on before we wrap up this segment?
Actually, I was going to ask you, who did you want your Bengals to take? And then, Craig, who would you like to see your Chiefs take at 31?
Well, I said maybe Tate Ratledge. I want to see them get some meat on the offensive line. Just the way they got pushed around by the Eagles. I want to see us get some real down and dirty guys. But to me, Micah Williams is an interesting guy for me because he's been billed as such a high-end prospect. I just want to see who's going to take that chance to him where he finds home.
My top 4 I want my Bengals to take. Either give me a Walter Nolan, give me a Jahad Campbell, give me a Michael Williams, or a Malachi Starks. You can give me any of them 4. I'm good. I'm set. We need a player that's going to be instant impact on our defense. We're not good defensively. Burrow, Chase, Higgins, we're going to put up the numbers offensively. We need a defensive player that could be a star immediately. And those that are concerned about Jahad Campbell's injury history or whatever it may be, give him some time to develop. He'll be just fine. But we need a guy that's going to be a potential all-pro or even a Pro Bowler potential in this draft.
Last question for you, Najee. Boldest take of the night. I know we went on over them last week, but what was with everything that you've thought of so far, with the draft being tonight?
I think the bold take is you're going to see probably about 5 or 6 trades in the first round. I think you're going to see some damage and teams making some bold trades. I guess my bold prediction, if he doesn't go to the Browns, Shedeur to the Steelers. That's my bold one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if one trade ends up tripping a whole series of them.
Probably will be. And we might see a position, what we always see, Craig, a cornerback. If one's taken, the next 3 teams take 3 cornerbacks.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yes, it will. But, guys, we'll have some draft day recap tomorrow, so make sure you tune in for that. And we'll have on a tennis coach from LaGrange as well. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Happy Friday Eve, and enjoy the draft.
in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.